So what am I going to do? I want to introduce you to data migration. Okay, that's the first thing. Then I also want to showcase like how many tools are there in the from the migration point of view. I want to cover the SQL basics, and I also want to touch base on the data migration mechanism. If you ask anyone, like what is data migration? It simply means like I am migrating data from one system to another system. So when it comes to the data migration, you will always have a source and you will always have a target. It can be SAP ECC, or source can be Oracle. I can have Excel files, or I can have data in any system, right? I can have flat files as well. Don't confuse with the flat files. Flat files are simply like txt files. Okay, now what is my target going to be? I will always move my data from legacy to S/4HANA system. This is the nutshell of data migration. So you are moving data across systems. Your source can be anything. Our target has to be S/4HANA. Now there might be a question, if any organization, they already have some data in the legacy system, why would they spend millions of dollars and move data to S/4HANA system, right? So there will definitely be reasons to migrate. The first reason we can think of is bad data. Suppose there is an organization who is working since maybe like for last 50 years, and they feel now they have bad data in their system. The data is not relevant. They have redundant data. How can the data be bad? For example, I have 120,000 customers, but out of these 120,000 customers, I have marked say 40k customers for deletion. I have marked 30k customers for deletion at the sales org level, or I have some 5,000 customers or vendors which are one-time customers, one-time vendors, and I'm not planning to do any business with them. Or someone has created data in my system. Say, for example, someone created an entry for Brad. Now a new guy came in and he again created duplicate data for Brad. So what does it do? There's a lot of redundant data. It will make my legacy system slow. Second thing can be merger and acquisition. For example, Pepsi tried to acquire Coca-Cola. Now every organization, whenever they do mergers and acquisitions, they want to have their data in a single source of truth. If I have data in Pepsi system, I have data in Coca-Cola system. Say Coca-Cola has 10 different legacy systems, Pepsi has 5 different legacy systems. So it's like I have 15 sources of truth. How many reports do I need to check my sales or check my data? I need 15 reports. 15 reports, probably maybe like at max 15 resources. So it's like wasting resources. What should I do? Most of the organizations, they prefer to have a single source of truth. So we will just migrate the data from these 15 different source systems in a phased manner, definitely, to one S/4HANA system, so that I have one source of truth. When you have one source of truth, businesses can make well informed decisions. What is the third thing? Third thing can be upgrades, which is happening right now. For example, organizations are having ECC system, but SAP is suggesting you have to go into S/4HANA system because after 2030, we are not going to give you the support for ECC. So what's the need of the hour? People have to upgrade, right? Or somebody is in Oracle system. They don't feel confident on Oracle. They want to move to S4, or the vice versa, right? So I can think of these 3 important reasons why people or why organizations take a decision to migrate data to S/4HANA system. Now, in order to migrate data, we need some ETL tools, right? If there is a small organization who has a limited set of data, SAP itself is recommending using Migration Cockpit. But the moment there is complex data, there are complex scenarios, then we will definitely take the help of an ETL tool. ETL tool simply is extract, transform, and load. So I will extract my data from the source system based on some filter criteria. In SAP world, we call these extraction criteria. We just mention it in the mapping document. I will show you one mapping document. How does it look like? Some people call it DDD, data design document. Some people call it mapping document, but it's one and the same thing. Okay, please remember, an ETL tool is a middleware tool. It's not having a memory of its own. It does not store anything. For example, I want to drink milk or I want to have some water. My tap is the source and I am the target. The glass which is holding this milk or water for some time, this is just the ETL tool. You can take the example of the current. The wires that carry the current to the poles, it's your source. The devices that use your data is your target, but the middle wires that are connecting your appliances to the LT phases, that's like the ETL tool. It's not storing anything. It cannot. It's not having a memory of its own. It just holds this data for some time so that it can just transfer it from one system to another. This is an important interview question. So if someone asks you about the ETL tool, so please keep it in mind. This is just a middleware tool which will connect your source to the target or to some middleware system or database, but it's not having a memory of its own. Now, what are the different tools that are available in market? One is BODS, and SAP always recommends using BODS. Why? Because it's tightly coupled to SAP systems. It can handle huge volumes of data. Second is Sanity. If there are organizations who have budget issues, they want to do migration, but with a limited budget, when I say budget, I mean money, they can always go with Sanity. Then there is SnapLogic, there is MarkLogic, there can be n number of tools. From these sessions, from the session point of view, I will always go with the BODS. Now, when I say BODS or data services, it's one and the same thing. Business object data services. I just want to just give you a glimpse of its architecture. How does it look like? Suppose this is an ECC system, which is your ERP system. Okay. In the middle, somewhere, I can use SQL, DB, or I can use HANA Studio. HANA Studio is a DB. Then here I can use S4 HANA system, which is again my ERP system. I cannot straight away migrate my data from ECC system to S4 HANA system. Why? Because I need to do some transformations. I need to do some validations. So what is the need? The need is I extract this data and dump this data somewhere. What is the dumping point for me? These DBs. I'm not going to consider SQL DB. For us, from the S4 HANA point of view, HANA Studio or HANA DB is the database that we will use to dump data. And inside this HANA Studio, I will do some transformations. I will do some validations. Once I have the load ready data, I will load that data into S4 HANA system. So BODS will always be connected to these systems. BODS is just a connection. It will just connect to ECC. We write some drag and drop code, extract the data, push it into HANA Studio. Now my data is into HANA Studio. I will do some transformations. I will do some validations. Once I have my validated data, I will push that data into S4 HANA system, again using the BODS. So that's the reason I said BODS is just a medium. It's a middleware tool. No memory of its own. It's not storing anything. It's just helping this data to move from ECC to HANA Studio, then from HANA Studio or database to S4 HANA ERP system.
So all the processing, when you are extracting data from ECC and transforming it, nothing is happening in the BODS server, the processing?
BODS, see, BODS, you know what is BODS basically? If someone knows SQL, BODS is writing your SQL code in the backend. You are just doing drag and drop. The moment I select a query, I will show you how does a BODS tool look like, but it will simply write SQL code in the backend. So ultimately, what is it trying to do? It's just trying to help you like navigate this data. Nothing is on the BODS server, nothing. It's just helping you. It's a middleware tool.
So for all the transformations, for example, join, union, filter, anything that we are doing in the
Everything
BODS
happens
while
at the
extracting
DB
data.
level. Everything
Pardon me?
happens at the DB level. Everything is
At
happening at the
the
database level. Yeah.
The DB is on which the data services is sitting on, or is it in the HANA DB?
Yes, HANA DB, BODS is connected to your ECC system, your S4 HANA system, and your HANA DB system.
Oh, there is no database per se for data services itself.
Data services is an ETL tool. It will not have a memory of its own. Where can it store data? It cannot store. It's writing some, the moment we are writing some code in BODS, It's ultimately picking up data from one system, say ECC. It's dumping it into HANA Studio because HANA Studio is where the memory is, right?
Okay.
Database has a memory. ETL tool is not having a memory. It will just help you navigate data, pick up from one place, do some transformations in between, dump it somewhere, right? It will not
Okay.
store anything.
Kind of getting some clarity, but I'll hold for on that thought for now. Please
Yeah,
proceed. Right. Yeah.
perfect. Okay, now let's move on. Every data migration, whenever we are dealing with data migration, there are different steps that we follow. The first step is obviously extraction of data. Okay, I am extracting data from some system, say ECC, and I am dumping it into the HANA Studio. Say some temporary tables. I extract data from ECC system, say Mara table for material, and I name it like stg underscore Mara in HANA Studio or HANA DB. So I dump it there. The first step is like extraction of data. Then I will do some transformation on top of this data. What is transformation? Transformation means you are making your data relevant to S4. For example, I am trying to migrate data for a customer or a vendor whose data in the Oracle system, it has a country, United States. Now SAP does not understand United States, it understands US. Suppose I am trying to migrate data for a vendor and it has a country, India. Now SAP does not understand India, it understands IN. So what will I do? I will transform this data. I will transform United States to US. Same case, India to IN. So ultimately, I am trying to make my data relevant to S4 or your target system. Or there can be other examples as well. For example, I had a plant P001 in source, but now business decided, hey, we are not going to move P001. P001 is going to be dismantled. I am going to use W001 in target. So what will I do? I will change this plant P001 to W001. Why? Because I have to make my data in sync with S4. That's what we call data transformation or transformation of data. Then third step is validation. Okay. Suppose my business or my functional owner, he's asking me to change P001 plan to W001. I cannot simply trust him and hit the data to S4 HANA system and try to load it. No, I will not do it. I will first validate my data. I will validate if this W001 has been created in the target system. I will validate my data. If someone is asking me change INDIA India to IN, I need to be sure if this IN has been configured in S4. Who does all these configurations? Functional owners, not in our scope. They will configure all the target systems upfront. If they are giving you any transformations, change plan to from 1 to B, A to B, change company code to X to Y, they have to configure these values in the target system and we will not trust them. Like they say we did it and we feel like, okay, let's hit S4 with the data. No, we are not going to do that. We will validate our data against S4 HANA system, and the moment we are validating data, two types of reports get generated. One is preload success, second one is preload error. I am sending both these files to my data owner and I will ask them to validate this data. For example, I had 100 materials. I am going really slow because these are the basic sessions. I want you guys to understand the concepts. How do we drag and drop in as BODS or how do we write the queries? That's okay. But first try to understand the concepts, how we do it. Suppose I had 100 materials. Now out of 100 materials, 80 records or 80 materials are in my preload success. What is preload success? Preload success is simply I am telling my business or the data owner, hey, I will be able to load these 80 records to S4 HANA system. For these 80 records, all the configurations are done. And I am sure I will be able to load these 80 records. Now, 20 records that are coming in my error, there might be different reasons. For example, my target system is expecting some value in a field. Say, for example, there's a field XYZ in Mara. My target system is expecting that a value over there, But from my legacy system, the value is coming as blank. So I will fail it. I will tell my business, hey, the value is not maintained over there, but SAP is expecting some value. So you need to correct your data in the source system. Or there can be configurational errors. Suppose they told me, hey, migrate these 100 materials, but out of these 100 materials, there are 20 materials where the material type has not been defined in target system. So the configuration is missing. What am I going to do? I will simply send the preload error report to them. Suppose out of these 20 records, I can say 10 records are having missing mandatory fields. When I say mandatory fields, I mean primary keys. In any of the SAP table, there's a mandatory field. So it is expecting value inside it. You cannot push null to it or blank to it. Suppose from my legacy, there are 10 records where one of the mandatory fields has a blank value, and 10 of the records, there's a missing configuration. When I say configuration missing, let's say a material type has not been defined in target system. So when I send this data to the data owner, it's his duty now to maybe first correct his data in the source system for these types of errors, and for the missing configurations, the functional owner has to configure this data before I can load these 20 records. Now suppose my business owner is telling me, hey, this is just the initial load or load 1. You please go ahead with the 80 records. We will configure this data in the next run. Because usually whenever we start data migration, we can have, say, test 1. When I say test 1, I say like cutover, not cutover. I say like migration cycle 1, then migration cycle 2, then we can have UAT, and then we can have production loads. And all the projects or all the clients, they will set up some limits over here. Okay, we are comfortable even if the 50% of data gets loaded to S4 in test 1. In test 2, data should be like 80%. We should be able to load 80% of data to S4 HANA system. In UAT, we should be able to load 95% of data, and production, obviously 100% of the data should be loaded to the target system. Suppose this is test 1. My business is okay. They are telling me this is fine because we have a threshold of 50. As of now, you can load 80 records. So please go ahead. We will just resolve these 20 errors in maybe migration cycle 2. Then they will give me a green signal to load these 80 records. So what is the next step then? I will load these 80 records, and a defect will be created for these 20 records, and they should be rectified before the next cycle. The next step is I load these 80 records. After I get a green signal from my data owner for the preload success report, he or she will also check the preload success report. For example, they asked you to change plant from P001 to W001. They will check this data in the preload success if the transformations are happening. For example, they asked me to change from P001 to W001 for material type HAFE, but not for material type FERT. If they notice that the data is not getting transformed, or the data is not getting extracted as per the mapping document, they can tell me, no, the preload success report is not correct. You need to make these changes before you can run the jobs again and get the correct data. Or they can tell me, no, we will just rectify these 10 missing maybe values in the source system. We will also do the configuration for these 10 records in the target system. You run your report jobs again, and we want to load all the 100 records. Both the scenarios are possible. Suppose I get a green signal now. Okay, go ahead and load 80 records or 100 records. So I will try to load these 80 records to S4 HANA system. Once I am done with the load, there are two possibilities. I am able to load all the records. I intended to load 80. All the 80 records got loaded. Or I intended to load 80. Only 70 got loaded, right? If all the 80 got loaded, then I do not need to create any error report, which we call as post-load error. Now for the records that I already loaded, I will create a post-load success report, which some people also call as reconciliation report. What is a reconciliation report? Suppose I loaded 80 materials, and now I want to make sure whatever was in the source system, it should match 100% with the target system. For example, I have a material 1. It has a material description, say PepsiCo ABC. Now, when I loaded this to the target system, it got loaded as PepsiCo AB. Reason, in S4 HANA system, my field can only accommodate for 9 characters. So it's a miss, right? Or there can also be a reason there are certain fields which get auto-populated. For example, I am trying to load a sales order, or I am trying to load pricing, or any other object. But some of the fields get auto-populated from master data. In that case, even if you intend to load, say for example, blank value, it gets populated or auto-populated with X. So what will happen? Your reconciliation report will have a mismatch. The moment you find mismatch, we need to get this rectified. We need to get this resolved with the functional owner or the data owner. Suppose this is the case. I am trying to load PepsiCo ABC. I'm only getting PepsiCo AB. So what is the solution? I cannot change this. I'm going to say the length of or the characters that SAP target system can hold. The possible solution is I ask my business, hey, there are maybe 10 records where the length of the characters is exceeding 9. So please rectify them in the source system, do some cleansing. So what they will do, we will create a defect and we will assign this defect to the data owner and ask them to do some cleansing for these records. Now, second scenario, there are some fields which are getting auto-populated. So I will ask my functional, buddy, these records are getting auto-populated. You need to make such fields out of scope from the migration because I cannot control them. They are getting controlled by the master data. So he will change his mapping document so that when I run maybe in the migration cycle 2, I will not get such errors because that's out of scope. I'm not even going to consider them in the reconciliation report. How does a typical reconciliation report look like? For example, I am trying to load material number. So it will have something like material number legacy, material number target. Okay. And I will have something like material Matner underscore match. Suppose the second field is say material description, material. When we do it in the BODS, I will show you everything. I'm just trying to give you a concept over here. Material description target. And then I'm going to say description match. For example, I am trying to load one got loaded as 1. So it's a match. But I'm going to load Pepsi. It gets loaded as PEPS. It's a mismatch. So wherever I have a mismatch, I will create a defect, right? Or I am trying to load, say for example, I'm trying to load, there is a field, say there's a XYZ field. Okay. Now from the legacy system, this XYZ legacy, this is coming as 1 or blank, but in the target system, it gets loaded as X. So it's again a mismatch, right? As I said, if this is getting populated by the master data, there are certain fields in SAP that get populated because of master data. So you cannot control it. So what will I do? I will simply ask my functional owner to remove this XYZ from my migration scope. I cannot control it. Now, if you want me to summarize this, I will extract data. I will transform data. Based on your after your transform data, I will validate data. Based on your validation, 2 types of reports will be there. One is preload success. These are preload reports. And the second one is preload error. Once my business owner or the data owner, he gives me a green signal to load data, I will load this data. The moment you load your data, 2 types of reports will again be created. One is post-load error. One is post-load. Second one is post-load success. What does the post-load error tell me? Post-load error simply mentions, hey, you tried to load 80 records, but out of 80 records, 75 got loaded, 5 had errors. And this is the reason of error. For example, now I'm getting an error like, hey, procurement type was not defined or procurement type is not maintained at the plant level. So I will come to those types of errors when we do the material master. But as of now, please try to remember there will be 2 types of reports. One is post-load error. That will tell me, hey, you tried to load 80 records, 75 loaded, 5 had errors. What was the error for those 5? Post-load success will do field For each field, I will do a match mismatch, because ultimately in your production system, when you are loading data, your data should match 100% for all the records. If you are loading 10,000 records and there are 50 fields for those 10,000 records, your data should be matched for all those 10,000 records, all the 50 fields. Then and only then you are migrating data correctly. The tool that I will use in everything, it's only data services, BODS. BODS is a very powerful tool. So I can achieve all these things in data services. Scope of migration, I will be covering discovery phase in this maybe next session. And in the discovery phase, I will be showcasing you how to use information stewards. When we use information stewards, I will explain you how do we come up with the mapping document, what leads to mapping document, how do see data migration is only 5% of the work, because data migration consultants will get a mapping document and we will follow that like the Bible. Whatever is mentioned in the mapping document, we will do it. But how do we create those mapping documents? We will do some analysis of the source data. We will do profiling. We will pass this data through the information stewards. We will write some rules. Then based on those rules, based on the mitigation decisions, plans, we will come up with one, mapping document or DDD, data design document. Two, data harmonization. Data harmonization is nothing. It's simply what you call as XREFs. You need to create cross references, right? Okay, plant 1 is going to get dismantled. You need to move this plant 1 data to plant 4. So how do we create that? That's called data harmonization. Everything happens in the discovery phase. I'm going to touch base on information stewards. I will show you how do we do that. Again, an important interview question. What is the difference between, no, before going there is a right hand thumb rule in SAP or data migration. If you have 100 records coming from the source and you fail 99 of them, 99% of the data gets failed in the preload, it's fine. But the one record that you say I can load it, you should be able to load it. Nobody cares if you tell them, hey, 99%, 99.99% of the data is getting failed because of preload errors. What it means your preload validations are bang on. You have not missed any preload validation. Now, if you're telling me I will be able to load 90 records out of 100, and then you are not even able to load 10 records in the S4 system, the moment you push the idocs or the BAPI or your data through the BAPI to S4, if you are not able to load it, then it means you need to, I mean to say, the migration consultant is not skillful. He does not know what validations to put in. So please make sure whenever you work in the projects, your preload validation should be bang on. You should not skip even a single validation, because it will help you in the long run. You are telling me I can load 10 records, your 10 records are loaded. It should be as simple as that. How do we do that? How to check what type of validations we have to push in? I will definitely showcase. Now, what is the difference between SAP ready data and business ready data? Whenever you are intending to load data to S4 HANA system, mostly there can be two types of fields. One is a mandatory field, one is a configuration field. For example, if I am planning to load a material master, as of now, for the sake of simplicity, let us say that the number range is external. Okay, for the guys who are new to SAP, number ranges can be of two types: internal, external. Internal means a number will be generated by SAP itself. For example, I am creating a material, SAP will generate a number on its own based on the configurations. External number range means whatever you pass to the system, it will take it as a number. For example, my material number in legacy is 100. I can load that 100 to the target system. Simple. That is external to the SAP world, right? So please keep it in mind. Number ranges can be of two types. It's a very important interview question. Number ranges can be of two types: internal number range, external number range. What is the difference? In internal number range, SAP will generate a number on its own. In external number range, I am giving the number to the SAP system. Okay. Now coming back to SAP ready versus business ready. In SAP, you have two types of fields. One is mandatory field and one is configurable field. For example, I want to load material master. I can, let us say I have two fields for material master. I am intending to load only two fields. One is Matner and the second one is material type. MTAT is material type. Matner is material number. I know if I go to SAP, how to check it, I will show you. But please understand the concept. I know from SAP, material number is a mandatory field. So it will not accept a blank value to a material number. Now, material type, it's a configurable field. I cannot have any material type. I cannot push in ABCD. No. Material type has to be configured in the SAP system before I can load this data. So what is SAP ready data then? SAP ready data means you can only load data to SAP system if it fulfills all the criteria of SAP. If there is a mandatory field, those record, for example, the whole record, if there are some 4 mandatory fields, all those mandatory fields should have the value. You cannot push null or blank. If there are 10 configurable fields like material type, like material group, like unit of measure, you cannot push any random value. You can only push a value that is already configured in the system. When you fulfill all these criterias, then and only then you can load data to SAP. So your data is SAP ready. Now, what can be business ready? For example, my client is asking me, buddy, I want to migrate data for my customer telephone numbers, but I want to make telephone number as mandatory. If you want to load a customer or a business partner, telephone number is not mandatory or email ID is not mandatory. But business is telling me I want to put one level of validation. I do not want to load any business partner or customer or vendor where email address is not maintained. That's as per the business needs. So I will keep one validation on top of the existing validations. Can you load data to SAP system which is not SAP ready? No, you cannot. Can you load data to SAP system which is not business ready? Yes, you can. Because if any data has to be business ready, it has to be SAP ready first. Business ready data is something which your business is asking you to apply some validations on top of SAP readiness. As I said, phone number or some fields which are not mandatory fields, but business wants to maintain it. They will ask you, put a validation on this field because I do not want any record in my S4 HANA system where the data is not maintained. If you find any records where the data is not maintained, preload error them. The moment you preload error them, then they can have a look at the data, do some cleansing in the systems, blah, blah, anything. I hope this is clear. What is the difference between SAP ready data and business ready data? SAP ready data, unless and until all the criteria of SAP are not met, you cannot load data to SAP. Business ready, on top of SAP readiness, you can have some validation that your business can ask you to put in. I want to come back to this topic once. I missed one point. If the moment you are validating your data, preload success reports are also called as enriched data because this is enriched. If someone calls you, hey, what is an enriched data? It's simply preload success data that is load ready. Any questions on all these concepts, starting from data migration? What is data migration? Why do we do data migration? What are the different tools for migration? What are the different phases of data migration? The one that I was discussing over here, this one, these are phases of migration. Then I discussed about what is SAP ready data and what is load ready data. Sorry, SAP ready and business ready data.
Phases, data profiling and data preparation.
We are assuming over here that the discovery phase has ended. The moment discovery phase ends, then the data migration team is maybe hired. They come on the floor. Data profiling, data cleansing, that's a part of discovery phase. This is the implementation phase. This is the migration phase. We will discuss the discovery phase when I discuss information stewards.
For example, Mara or any of the tables in SAP in general, they have hundreds of columns, right? When you're profiling it, do we profile each and every column?
I would be
Typical
glad
scenario.
to I will be glad to answer this, but short
Got
answer.
it.
But
Understood.
short answer. Your data owner, they know data like we know the palm of our hands. So they know like which field is being maintained by the business. So they will upfront tell us, hey, we want to do profiling on this field. I know Mara has like 100 plus fields, right? 150, 160 or close
Yes.
to that field.
Yes.
We are not, businesses do not maintain all the fields. So my business owner will tell me, hey, basically we propose them the rules. Hey, I'm going to implement this rule. Do you agree? He can tell me, no, I don't agree on rule number 2, 3, and 4 because we are not maintaining this data. Rather, I would like you to implement rule XYZ because we are maintaining this data in this field. I want you to apply this rule. So that comes in the discovery phase. I will show you when I show you like how to use information stewards.
Can you please explain that SAP ready versus business ready concept again?
Perfect. I would love to, brother. See, SAP is a stubborn child. Simple. If it needs something, you have to give it. You cannot tell him, I will give you in bits and pieces. No, it will not accept it. SAP asks you, give me data where all the mandatory fields, they have a value, and all the configurable fields, they have a value which is configured. For example, matter and material type. Let's take these examples. Material number, this is a mandatory field. Material type, this is a configurable field. Now I cannot push blank to material number. Why? SAP will not accept it. If ABC material type, it's not configured in SAP, SAP will not accept the data for Mara, right? Because SAP will only accept data when all the mandatory fields have some value and all the configurable fields, they have a value which is already configured. For example, material types can be, it can be HAFE, it can be FERT, it can be HALB, right? Finished good, semi-finished good, raw materials, anything. But if you're not configuring these values somewhere, there are T tables inside SAP. If you are not configuring these values inside those T tables, your SAP is not going to allow you to push in data. For example, you ask me, can you load data for plant P? Unless and until you do not define what this plant P means, you cannot load data at the plant level for P because SAP will not allow it. So unless and until you meet all the criteria of SAP, it's not going to load. So that's what we call as SAP ready data. Your enriched data, your load ready data, or SAP ready data, that is one and the same thing because you are meeting all the criteria of SAP. Now, I know when we try to load, say, material type, some of the fields cannot be mandatory. There are various fields which are not mandatory, right? Or which are not configurable. It's up to me. I can push data, I cannot push data. For example, customers and vendors, telephone number is not mandatory. But what if business asks you, no, I need customer number to be maintained in system. I will not allow any customer which has a telephone number like 11111, 5 digits. It has to be 10 digits, right? So what will you do? You will implement one more validation on top of your existing validations so that your data is now both SAP ready and business ready. There are some businesses who have they want to push in some more validations because they know their data. For example, there's a company who want that all the customers vendors should have an email address. You cannot push null or blank email address. So what will you do? You will have one validation on top of your email address that if email address is blank or null, please preload error it. So in short, if your data is business ready, it has to be SAP ready first. Not all organizations want like to implement some more validations. But again, business to business. If somebody needs phone number, somebody wants say, no, I need fix. Somebody tells me, no, I need emails. Or there are 160 fields in Mara or 160 plus fields in Mara. Not all are mandatory. But a business can tell me, hey, for business purposes, I am maintaining MSTAE, for example, cross plant material status. I want to maintain it. If it's blank, please fail it. Business to business, business needs. Is that clear or you want me to again?
Yeah, understood.
Okay, perfect. Okay, let's start the SQL then. So once you get the server details from support team, you'll be connecting to the remote desktop and your inside your remote desktop, there will be tools like this will be your BODS, Data Services Designer. Then this will be your HANA Studio. HANA Studio is my database. There's a difference between S4 HANA and HANA Studio. S4 HANA is an ERP system. HANA Studio is my database. Okay. Then we have information stewards as well. And this would be our S4. To practice your SQL basics, we need to log into SAP HANA Studio. So when you double click on this, it will take you to this page. Inside your app, if you do not see any system, then please click on this add system and you need to just fill in the details. Let me try to push in the details for HANA Studio. So I said the moment you are connecting, you will get some details from the support team. That's the first thing. You will get an Excel from them with all the mandatory accesses. And then once you log into the remote desktop, you will see this is your HANA, this is your bots, SAP BODS, SAP Data Services. This is your HANA Studio. As of now, I do not want to open or touch base on the data services because I want to work on the SQL. So maybe after some days, when I touch base on the data services, I will show you how does its look and feel. Okay, this will be your data services or BODS. This one will be your HANA Studio and this one will be your S4 HANA. Please remember, S4 HANA is an ERP system. HANA Studio is a database. Okay, when I double click on this, it will open an application. If you do not see any system over here, you need to click on this plus system button. When I click on this, working for
So
me.
this is more like a client tool to access HANA database, basically. HANA Studio is the client to access the HANA database, just like
yeah,
SQL
it's just
Server
like
client to access.
exactly. This is just like my SQL Server. This is my database. Okay. Now all these details like empty SAP server to MD labs, you will get all these details from my support team. Once you have these, please try to log in. They will also share one documentation where I have created a step-by-step procedure to connect to the systems. If you still find difficulty, I will help you in the session once you have these details. So after pushing the host name, I will go with the username. Let me try finish. Okay. Now I see this DSH. This is my HANA DB. My database is connected now. You guys should also be able to connect to it. Just give me a second. I already extracted tables into the system long back, maybe in the previous session, So I'm just trying to check these tables so that I can show you the basics of SQL. If you want to see the definition of the table, like the metadata, what are the different fields, how much is the length of each field, then I will click on show definition. If I want to see both, then I will click both. If I want to see data, then I will just click on show content. This is one way of doing it. Okay. If you straight away want to write the SQL queries, I can do something like this and click on this one. So this can also be done. If you want to write the SQL queries yourself, it should open an SQL. Okay. Now I can write the SQL queries. I will explain SQL, but give me a second. Okay. Let me click on system. Let me click on SQL. So it will open a window for me. And now I can write my queries. So is anyone over here who does not know SQL or who is new to SQL, complete new? Anyone?
Yes, I'm new to SQL.
Okay, no problem. I can drag and drop. See, basically, what is a database? Since you are new to SQL, I will explain from the basics. What is a database? Database is used to hold your data in the form of tables and views. Okay, your tables have data in the form of rows and columns. So any database, it will at the primary level, it will have tables and views, and inside the table there is data, and data is arranged in the form of rows and columns. That is how a typical RDBMS system looks like. That is a relational database management system. Now, if I write a query, for example, this is my data. Now, I said my data is arranged in the form of rows and columns. This represents a row, and these are my columns. Listener, what is LFA1? Whenever I use these words LFA1, LFB1, listener, LAN1, this is all relevant to
Vendor
SAP
table.
system. Sorry?
Yeah,
No,
it's a vendor table.
exactly. This is like, these are tables in SAP. Your SAP has these tables for vendors, customers, materials, bill of material, pricing, sales order, sales contract, work center. There are n number of objects and there are n number of tables. So each table will have its name and each table will have its specific fields. Now, when I say LFA1, to all the freshers in SAP, please understand LFA1 means the master table for vendor. Whenever you come across SAP, you will always hear two things. One is master data. Before going to SQL, please try to understand these things. You will always come across two terms. One is master data, one is transactional data. Master data is like your customers, vendors, materials. These are the king of any ERP system. Without customer, vendor, material, you can do nothing. Now, there can be some other master data as well, like profit center, cost center, GL accounts, bank data, right? But typically, customer, vendor, and material, we refer to this as master data. And on top of the master data, we create transactional data. For example, your sales contracts. For example, your sales orders. For example, right? Now, your transactional data will always be on top of your master data. How? For example, AR, account receivable. Let me give you something. To all the freshers, I will just try to explain you what is a typical ERP system. Suppose I am an organization and I am manufacturing tires and my name is MRF. Okay. I am an organization. My name is MRF and I am manufacturing tires. So what is the material that I am creating? Tires. To create this material, what do I need? I need rubber. When I am creating or manufacturing tires, what will I do with it? I will sell them. To whom will I sell? I will sell it to my customer, right? Try to explain. I'm just trying to explain you like a layman. This is the overall picture. SAP in itself means business. Whenever there is a business, there is money, there will be SAP. This is nothing like a fancy term. Maybe 100 years before, people used to write it on their books or some paper. In these times, complex businesses, they use ERP system. But it will, again, the basics are same. So if you want to understand any ERP system, you have to understand their business. As simple as that. Okay. Now, I said in order to create tires, I need rubber. But from where I will get the rubber? From someone.
Yeah.
I will call him vendor. Okay. Now, the moment I am selling my tires to someone, what is needed? Money, right? So if you are selling tires to someone, will you pay him the money or he will pay you the money? He will pay us, right? If I am selling tires to someone, that someone is my customer, will I pay him or he will pay me?
He has to pay us.
Perfect.
Customer has to pay us.
Yeah. So we call that in SAP receivable.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if I am purchasing something, that something is rubber from my vendor, will I pay him or he will pay me?
We have to pay him and it's payable.
Exactly. That is payable. Now take it from the SAP point of view. Okay. MRF tires, it will have materials. Where will materials go? Materials will go to Mara.
Mara table.
Perfect. Mara is my header table for materials. Where will my customers go?
It's KNA1.
Perfect. This will go to KNA1. Where will my vendors go?
LFA1.
Perfect. LFA1. LFA1. Okay. Now, when I have to pay someone or I have to receive from someone, we call them as open AR, open account receivable, open account payable, open AR, open AP. Now, see how many objects are coming into picture. Now, for example, I am selling these rubbers to someone, I will definitely create a sales order.
Yep.
So there comes sales order. Isn't this business? This is SAP. All these are objects. Material is an object, customer is an object, vendor is an object, OpenAR is an object, OpenAP, sales order. Now, what if I decide, hey, I will pay you, sorry, I will sell you these rubber tires for the next 10 years at X price. Isn't that a sales contract? Same thing can
Yes.
happen with the purchase. When I am purchasing something, I will create a purchase order, right? Or I can have a purchasing contracts. Now, if I am creating any material, suppose I need to create one tire, what do I need? I need maybe 1 kg of rubber, maybe I need 1 gram of sulfur, maybe I need 2 grams of steel for something, right? So what is this? This is called as bill of material, BOM. What is bill of material? Bill of material is simply a recipe to create the material. What is the material that I'm creating here? That is tire. Tire is my header material. Now what do I need? I need the components. Components will be my rubber, it can be my sulfur, it can be my steel.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I can sell my tire to, say, Mr. X on one condition. I can sell the same tire to Mr. Y on Y condition. Okay. Suppose Mr. X is closer to my factory. I can sell him on one condition. I can sell the same tire to Mr. Y on some other condition based on the repo, right? So what does this mean? I am having some pricing conditions. It's again an object. So overall, your ERP system or S4 system, this is business. And what's the beauty of this SAP system? It's tightly coupled. There is no leakage. All these objects are interlinked. Okay. So if someone asks you, like, what is a typical SAP system? This is simply business. If there exists business, there will always exist an ERP system for a complex business, right? Yeah. Now, okay. Now let me tell you something more. Whenever you come across any data migration, you will always hear two terms. One is header item, one is line item. Okay. Always. I will give you an example of a bus. For example, there's a bus. Yeah, please go ahead. Who has to speak? Yash, please speak, buddy. But who is not allowing you? Someone from the support team has to help you. Until they help you, let me move on. Someone please unmute Yash. Okay, so there can be two things. You will always come across two things. One is header item, one is line item. Header item is just like the driver of the car. Okay. He only has the power to take you from one point to another point. The driver of the car can only be one. You cannot have two drivers in the car. They will fight. Line item is like your passengers. Inside one car, there can be n number of passengers. Now take this to SAP. What is header? Let me take an example of a vendor. LFA1 is your header because inside LFA1 only one vendor number can exist. But what about LFB1? LFB1, my company code data, right? LFA1 header. Now my LFB1, this is my line item, but what line item? Company code. What does this mean? It means one header can have multiple company codes. What is company code? Company code is simply Bucharest. In SAP, we call company code as Bucharest. Now, what about LFM1?
Purchasing table, purchasing data.
Yeah. Now, I can have n number of vendors in LFM1. So what does it mean? Whenever you are dealing with SAP object, there can be only one header item, and one header item can have n number of line items. Same thing goes with material master. Mara can have only one maintainer, but Marcy, plant extension, one material can be extended to n number of plants. One material can be extended to n number of sales organizations inside MVKE. Mara is my header. Please, whosoever is listening to me, please keep note of all these things because this is going to help you in the interviews. Header, then I will go for Marcy. Marcy is my plant extension. One material can have n number of plant extensions. MVKE is my sales org extension, and one material can have n number of sales org extensions. So that's what we mean by header item and line item. If you want to remember it simply, it's a car. Your car can have only one driver, and your car can have n number of passengers. So at the header level, there can only be one Lifner, Kunnar, Matner, but it can have a number of extensions at the line item tables. Okay, I want to come back to SQL. If anyone has any questions on how does a typical ERP system look like, what are the what is header item, what is line item, please speak up.
We can proceed with the SQL.
Okay. Can you
I don't know SQL, but I know ABAP. So I'm familiar with these SAP tables.
No
so I
problem.
haven't written any query on SQL. So maybe that's why I said it's.
Yeah, but I would request to please practice more and more and more on SQL, because that's going to be your bread and butter.
Okay.
Yeah, SQL is very important. Now let's go back to SQL. I said there is something called as RDBMS, Relational Database Management System, where one table is related to another table. What is a database? Database holds data in the form of tables and views. Now, how do your tables store data? In the form of rows and columns. Now, how does SQL come into picture now? SQL will help you to view, modify, or delete this data now. Your data is inside the database, but what will help you to retrieve this data? SQL. What will help you to update this data in the tables? SQL. What will help you to delete this data in the tables? SQL. That's the reason SQL is very important. I am writing SQL is written in the form of English statements, For example, this is a statement. It's a typical SQL statement. Select star from table. Your statement will start from select, then star means all the columns, whatever is there, from understood, from table. Now, what is my table over here? LND LFA100. This is my table, but why am I writing the system dot? This system denotes my schema. As of now, I am using a schema system. You see, there are many schemas created inside this catalog. As of now, I'm pointing to system schema. Okay. Even if you do not write it, then whichever schema I clicked on system, right? I clicked on SQL. It simply means I'm inside the system schema. Now, even if I write this statement, select star from table, it's going to work.
Why do we need this schema?
Because, for example, as of now, I am working in system schema, right? What if I need to just retrieve data from the staging? Then I can also do that right from here. Select star from, I can even say staging. For example, I can show you a scenario. Wait, there's a table 2000 underscore bookers. Okay, wait, I will show you 2000 underscore bookers. But it's inside which schema? Staging schema, right? If I click on this, it will give me data. But is this table 2000 underscore bookers inside system schema? I don't know. Let's check. It's not there. This 2000 underscore bookers, this is not inside system schema. As of now, I am pointing to system schema. You follow me?
My question was, what is schema? Why it is used for?
Okay, see, basically I have a database. I am segregating it into schemas. You can say like each schema is like a folder. Inside this schema, I can have these tables, but I can, for example, I am dividing my typical database into 3 schemas. One is meant for landing the data, one is meant for transformation of data, one is meant for enrichment of data. It's the same database, but I am dividing it to 3 folders to segregate, to have a separation of concern. I can have staging stage data somewhere, I can have transform data somewhere, and I can have enrich data in a different folder. That's the reason we will create different schemas. For example, I am a trainer who is planning to use system schema, but there are other trainers as well in ZaranTech. They use staging schema. Somebody is using staging. Someone is using this one. This is just like I'm creating a folder. You can say schema in the layman terms is like a folder. Now, why do we just use this schema in front of the table just to point to it? I have already shown you. If I do something like this, I will not be able to see it. Why? Because as of now, in this particular, window, I am pointing to system schema. But if I want to check data from staging as well, then I can do it in the same window. You see, I'm just pointing to the schema. Hey, bro, go to the stage schema and the table is 2000 bookers. Okay, it can do it for me. Now, this typical SQL statement, select star means all the fields, all the columns. Okay. If I want to see only mandatory or Kunnar, what will I do? I will just keep on naming the fields. For example, select mandt Kunnar. I will only get these 2 fields. If I want to see all the fields, I will say star. You see, mandatory, Kunnar, then star. It means whatever columns are present in the table, I just need to see everything. What if someone wants to see only company code? That is Bookras.
Hey, you know, ZaranTech now offers SAP corporate training. That's right. Train your workforce in SAP with our comprehensive program. We offer customized courses, certified trainers, and hands-on labs for both individuals and businesses. Our standout features? Bespoke training, fully configured servers for practice, in-house materials, and a dedicated LMS. Plus, get session recordings and 24/7 support. From functional to technical modules, we have got it all. Choose ZaranTech for SAP training and watch your team excel. Learn, upskill, succeed with ZaranTech.
I can simply mention select Bookras from this table. So I will see 129. You see 129 rows fetched. Bookras. Now, what if I have a requirement? I just want to see unique Bookras or unique company codes. So I will simply use something called as distinct. If I say select distinct Bookras from here, then only the distinct company codes from this table will come. As of now, I can see only one distinct company code, which is 2000. I will not change or I will not delete anything, so that if you guys want to take a screenshot, I want to go step by step so that you can remember. Let me remove this. The first thing that we discussed is select star. So select star, what it will do? It will simply take up all the records, all the fields. That's it. Now, if I am specific, I just want to check Kunnar, then maybe Ernam and SP, then I have to mention that. If you want to do like end it with a semicolon, it's also fine. If you don't want to do that, that's also fine. Select Kunnar, then maybe Ernam, SPERR. If you only want to see these three fields, then I will select only these three. Now, if your requirement is, I do not want to see the data, I want to see how many distinct company codes are over there. Then I will say select distinct Bookras company code. So I have only one company code in the whole table. That is 2000. Now, what if my requirement is I want to see data in this table which has this field ZUAWA equal to 002. I do not want to see the blanks. Question mark means blank. I just want to see all the records where this ZUAWA is 002. Then I will take the help of where conditions. Okay. I can write select star from table where ZUAWA equal to 002. Now I should get only the records where this field is 002, nothing else. So I'm only getting these records. Now, if I want to see, hey, I just need on the records where this ZUAWA is not equal to 002. So I can say is not equal to. This is equal to, and this sign means not equal to. I do not want to see 002. I want to see other than that. I'm not getting anything, even though there are blanks. Reason? SQL, it does not understand null. So null is not understood. So whenever you will use any scenario wherever a field can have nulls, then we will take the help of a function which we call as coalesce. COALESCE. So what does it mean? It changes the null to blank. I told you SQL does not understand nulls. So wherever you feel like that your field has null values and you are using not equal to sign or not in. I will also show you in and not in. So whenever you say not operator, you should always use coalesce, because I am expecting some data to be blank, but blank or sorry, null is not understood by SQL. So in order to avoid that, I will use a coalesce function. So what does coalesce do? So it means if this field it's a null, change it to blank. Simple. Now every time there's a null, it will change it to blank. Now blank is not equal to 002, right? So I should see some data now. You see, this field had blanks or nulls. SQL does not understand nulls. So in order to, whenever you are using not equal to, not in, then I should always use a function called as coalesce. Coalesce is in SQL, and the function in BODS we have is NVL. In bots we have NVL. In SQL we have coalesce. What it means, if there is a null, change it to space. So now nulls are changed to space. So space, obviously that's not equal to 0002. This is the reason you are seeing blank values. Had there been something like 003 and blank, then you would only see 003. You will not see blank. I told you blank is not, or null is not understood by SQL. Now you might say like, hey, I want to have multiple conditions in the SQL. It's not only one condition. I can have 2 conditions, 3 conditions. Then how do we write that? For example, I want to see if my ZUAWA that's equal to 002 and my Ernam, my name is HEINZA, then only I want to see the data. So what I will do, I will use an AND operator. As I said, whenever you want to filter data, you will always select where clause. Where? Now what is the field? The first field is ZUAWA. You want to check only for 002 and Ernam equal to, and is understood. Both the conditions should be satisfied. ZUAWA should be 002 and Ernam should be HANA. So I see this value, right? Because both the conditions are met. Now, what if the condition is, hey, I want to see either this or this? I am good with ZUAWA equal to 002 or should be HEINZA. So even if one of the conditions is satisfied, I need that data. So I can change this AND to OR. For example, sometimes my client can tell me, I want the data for plant 1 or plant 2. So it's okay. Or but he can also tell me, I need the data for plant 1, but that plant should belong to country, say US. The moment there is one more, I'm going to say there's an AND clause, right? There's an AND operator. So it means both the conditions should be satisfied. Or means any of the 2 is fine. Now you see, this is ZUAWA, all the 2s are coming, and HEINZA, this is also coming. Had it been something like, I will show you, for example, something which is not 002 and which is some other name. Just give me a second. For example, this one, Cura. If I see Cura has a ZUAWA field as blank, but when I use OR condition or operator, I will get it. Why? Because this condition is being fulfilled here, so it will come. And ZUAWA 0 is equal to 0002. This is being met here, so I will get it. This is how a typical AND OR operators work. But what if now you have more than one condition? For example, I do not only want to see 002 in ZUAWA, or I do not only want to see CURA in Ernam. I want to have more than one condition or more than one values. This is like when you have more than one conditions. This field has one value, this field has one value. But what if the field itself has more than one value? Then we take the help of in operator. For example, this one. Now you are asking me, I need the report where name is Cura, where name is Anderson, and also where name is. You have given me 3 values now. Now I cannot write equal to and then write 3 values. No, I have to now use a SQL operator, which I call as in. So what I will do, I will write select star from table where Ernam in. Whenever I have more than one values, I will use a in and followed by brackets. Now you can have n number of values inside. Whenever you have only one value for a condition, I will go with equal to. Whenever I have more than one value, I can go with in operator. For example, here you want to see, say this Ernam, you want to see Cura, and you also want to see Heinza. Okay, see, now this is being repeated because this has 2 values. Now Heinza, Cura, and Schoffen. This is how your in operator works. Now, what if you do not want to see the data for these 3? You want to exclude these 3, then simply you will use not in. You see, I'm not getting any of those 3 values now. But please make sure whenever you are using SQL, whenever there is not in or not equal to, you should always use coalesce. Because if in any case there's a null, your SQL is not going to catch that. So the moment you have not equal to, not in, not like, you should always use coalesce. Simply just use something like this. COALESC, because you never know your data can have blanks or nulls. So your reports will be wrong. Whenever you are using not, it will not catch that blank. Okay. Now, someone can also have a requirement. Hey, I need the data, but I want the name to start with A, or I need the name to start with ST. For that case, SQL gives me the use of wildcards. For example, I can say select star from this table where Ernam like. So whenever I'm saying like, I will give, for example, I want the name to start with S. I don't care after S, whatever it is, but I want to see all the names that start with S. So I will say S%. Okay. Now, whatever name starts with S, it will come up. Now, if there's a requirement, hey, I want it start with S, but it should end with K. So you can say something like this. It starts with S, it ends with K. So it can be something like this. You want something with S, end with K. Whatever is in the middle, you do not care. So I have this one, right? Now, there can also be a requirement. Say, I will show you here. I can also do something like, hey, I want the first letter, the name to start with S, then the fourth letter should be U, right? I want my name to start with S, but the fourth letter should be U. It has to be definitely U. It cannot be anything other than U. So what I can do is S underscore underscore. It means first one is S, second can be anything, third can be anything, then fourth has to be U. Then after fourth, anything is possible. Okay. Underscore means one letter. Second letter can be anything. Third letter can be anything, but fourth has to be U. Then after fourth, I do not care how many words are there. What is the word? I don't know. What is the character? I don't care. Now you see, you will only get this one. Why? Because first letter is S, second and third, it doesn't care for. Then fourth is U. So this is how your wildcards will work. Now again, you can also say not like S. You do not want to see anything which starts with S. You can say not like. But as I said, whenever you are using like, sorry, not equal to, not in, not like, always use coalesce or NVL in boards. Now you see, none of the names will be starting with S. Okay. Sometimes in SQL, you might also need to check the length of the word. We have these requirements in data migration. Like, hey, I want to check the length of the field. So I can also do that. Select, say, Ernam, comma, length of Ernam from this table. You can use this function. Length is a function which will calculate you the length of the name Ernam. Now this is giving me the length. Or you can also tell me, hey, I just need the length to be like less than 6 characters. I can say where length of Ernam is less than 7 or 8 or anything. Now I will not see all the values. I will see only those Ernam which are having a length of less than 7, right? Now, sometimes you might also have a scenario where you want to see how many times is this. Let's take the example of A. Okay, you want to see, or you want to see Z term. Let's say Z term. Now you want to see how many times is this ZB01 getting repeated, or how many records has a value Z term ZB01. I want to group it. So what I can do is I will write select. I need to group by Z term, right? Because you have a requirement on Z term. Then I can do count of star. Since I want to group by Z term, so I will say group by Z term. What it will do, it will group it by Z term, and then it will count how many times the record is getting repeated for each Z term. Now you see 001, it's 13 times. 003 is being used once. This is being used once, 4 times, and blank is 109. Now, what if you want to see only such Z terms which are like less than 10? You can also do that. But you need to understand the concept of aggregate functions now. Whenever you are using count, you are using max, you are using min, I can also get the maximum of value using in the SQL using the max function, max, min, count. Whenever you are using it, then after group by, you will always use a group by for an aggregate function. Count, sum, sum, minimum, maximum. These are aggregate functions. Whenever you use an aggregate function, you have to use a group by, right? Whenever you, for example, now I want to see how many times, no, sorry. I want to see only such z terms where the count is less than 10. Then I cannot now use where. I cannot use where clause. I have to use a having now. Having count of star less than 10. I cannot write where count of star is less than 10. No, we have to use having. That's the syntax. Now you see, if you have one, you can have other requirements. I can tell you. Now you want to only do group by of z term where ZUAWA is equal to 002. You are not interested in blank ZU. You are not interested in that. You are only interested in 002. Then how can you use that where clause? I can use that where clause before group. You see, I can say where ZUAWA equal to 002, and then I will group it. I will first use a filter clause, then I will group it. You see, even if I don't use the last one, you will see a different data now, because I am just filtering out now. Even if I need to group by something, I can filter it out, but you have to use that where clause before the group by clause. Okay, now two important points in SQL. One is subquery and the second one is joins. If these, I mean to say, these are like ABCs of SQL. If this is clear, then I want to move to joins and subqueries, because joins and subqueries are important. Without understanding joins, there is no point of moving to data services. If you guys, anyone needs any help on these ABCs of SQL, please speak up before I move to subqueries and joins.
So what exactly this tables is holding? So usually, like when we load the data, we load into the tables like
No, don't see,
KNA1.
bro,
Yeah.
bro, don't go into data migration as of now. I am not
Okay.
even touching your data services. I want you guys to be picture perfect in SQL. The moment you know SQL, your journey to BODS is going to be easy. Your journey to information tables is going to easy. I will not lie. If you guys do not know SQL, it's going to be difficult for you. So for the next week, whole week, just keep on practicing SQL. From where you can do it,
No,
W3
I just
schools.
want to understand this 2000 bookers. This table, what
This is
exactly it is holding?
This is someone
Holding. What data it is holding?
This is just like a dummy data for you as of now. Someone extracted this data from some system, or he just pushed some data from Excel into this table. For us, this is just dummy data. We do not care
Okay.
about this. Do not worry about KNA1 and LFA1 from S4 as of now. Do not go there. Just think this is some dummy data. I could even take you
Got
to W3 schools and I could show you over there. But I want you to be familiar with HANA Studio. So
Okay.
don't go there. Just let's stick to the basics first. The only reason I'm introducing these small terms like Kunnar, customer number, Ernam, who created this customer, SPERR, I will show you in SAP. What does this field mean? How do we do it? We simply go to one T code, SE11, and I can show you over there. But I do not want to touch BODS or information stewards or SAP S for HANA as of now. I want you guys to be like clear on the basic SQL. In SQL, there are stored procedures and functions and whatnot, but we do not need that from data migration point of view. We just need basic SQL like select star from table, select star from using where clauses, then in, then like, then counts, then at max we need subqueries and joins. That's it. If you know this basic SQL, your life is going to be easy in data services.
You got it.
Any questions?
Brad, this
Yep.
SQL can be used for any database, right? Or are there any restrictions?
No, you can use SQL for SQL Server 2008, I think, SQL Anywhere, HANA DB. See, SQL is, without SQL, nothing can exist. Trust me, from the
Yeah.
data point of view. Even Google, that Google BigQuery, right? That came some time back. So it's also using SQL only. SQL is
Okay.
the bread and butter for any data.
Okay.
What do you call that? The statements can change, or how do we call that? Syntax can change, but the basic things remain same. If you see this, then from here, select distinct, where, order by, and, or,
Okay.
not. We don't need update, delete. Yeah, select op, we need aggregate function, min, max, count. If you want to practice, you can go here
Okay.
and just do it. for the whole next week to make your life easy. But without SQL, life is going to be difficult. I will not lie. Yeah, without SQL, it's not going to be easy.
Yep. Thanks.
No problem. No questions. Then I start with the joins. Okay. One of the important interview questions: what is a primary key? What is a null key? And what is a foreign key? Before going there, please try to understand. For example, I have a data, I have a field. Wait, let me try to open Excel. Suppose I have a table, student table. Okay, student table, and I call this table as stnd_tbl. Okay, now inside this student table, I have student ID, student name, then I have student country. Okay, inside this student ID, I have 1, I have John, I have US, I have 2, I have Henry, I have maybe UAE, I have 3, I have Max, I have say Australia. Now suppose I have 200,000 records, and for each record I keep on repeating these values: USA, Australia, now New Zealand, right? Now think there are 1 million records, 5 million records. Each character, it holds some space. USA, if one character holds 1 bit, suppose USA holds 3, UAE holds 3, Australia holds maybe 7, 8, 3, 7, 8, 10, right? Now, why should I do it? Why should I waste my memory? What if I could, instead of USA, I could say 1, I could use maybe 2, Australia 3, USA again 1. I give value 3 to New Zealand, and I name New Zealand as 4. And I create one more table, which I call as country, master country, or country something, master table for country. Here I can say country ID, I can say country name. I'm trying to explain you some basic concepts of databases. So please try to understand. 1, 2, my goodness, 2, 3, 4. Now 1 is having USA, 2 is having UAE, 3 is having Australia, and this is having New Zealand. If I am creating a master table, that is a country table somewhere, and I am giving a unique country code to it, then instead of using this data like millions of times, why don't I use this code? What will happen? It will ultimately save up my memory. This concept is called normalization in SQL, right? I do not want to unnecessarily waste my space. I can create 30 different countries and give them one, say 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, something. And instead of using the whole names millions of times and wasting millions of bits, why don't I use a single character? So this concept in SQL is called normalization. So what will normalization do? Normalization will, for example, the student table is your, say some, I mean to say this is a table, and inside this table I'm using the country ID. I'm not using the country names now. This will definitely save up my memory. Easy to maintain, right? Now inside this student table, I have a primary key as student ID, because student ID can never be duplicated. So student ID is my primary key. Inside my country master, country ID is my primary key. A table can have one primary key, right? From the SAP point of view, a table can have more than one primary keys. That's a different thing altogether. But at the database level, if you want to have a unique key, right? You want to define something uniquely, then we take the help of primary key. Primary key will not it will always make sure that the uniqueness of data is maintained, right? Are you guys trying to understand what is a primary key?
Yes.
Primary key is something that maintains the uniqueness of data, right? Now what if there's a requirement that, okay, I need a primary key. A primary key can never have a null value. Please try to understand. A primary key will never have a null value. But what if there's a requirement, hey, I need at least one null value, at least one, then that becomes a null key. There's a primary key, there's a null, I don't recall it. It's a null key or some other value name we give it. I think it's a null key, primary key, foreign key, and null key. No, unique key. Sorry, unique key. I'm sorry. So there are three different terms. One is primary key, one is unique key, and the third one is foreign key. Now, as I said, your primary key will never be null and it will always maintain the uniqueness of data. There can never be two students with the same student ID. But what if there's a requirement that, yes, I do need a primary key, but at least one of the entries can have a null value, then it becomes your unique key. Okay. So primary key can never have a null value. Please try to understand. This is an important interview question. What is the difference between a primary key and unique key? Both primary key and unique key, they maintain the uniqueness of data. But a primary key can never have a null value. However, unique key can have one null value, just one. Okay. Then
Can
what
you
is the
show an example of a unique key? One record
Okay.
here. How it?
Okay. For example, this is a primary key. What if I want to design a table? For example, say library, not library ID, book table, something like that. I want to say if it's a null, I want to say not assigned. Okay. If I want to say one, I want to assigned. Okay. I have a two, I want to say returned. I'm just giving you a hypothetical situation. For example, in the library table, if I have not assigned a book to anyone, I can just keep it blank. For example, when you use a drop down, you can have blank values in that as well, right? You have your drop downs in the forms. And if you do not select any value in the drop down, then that's a blank.
All right.
So that
where is a business scenario now where they need a null value?
For data migration, guys, we don't need it. But from the interview point of view, sometimes they ask it. So what is the real life scenario I have given you? You are using some drop downs in the forms. If you do not select any value over there, then it's a null in the backend. Okay. Now, okay. Primary key, unique key, both maintain the uniqueness of data, but primary key can never have a null value, but a unique key can have one null value. Then what is the foreign key? Foreign key.
One doubt here. So
Yes.
we said primary key cannot be null, right? But here it is null.
Where?
Right? In the book table, the first column is primary
That's
key.
what
right?
I'm saying. This is not a primary key now. It's up to you. At the SQL level, it's not necessary all the tables have a primary key. You can have a table without the primary key.
Okay. So which means null can be only used when there is no primary key.
Yeah, and you want to maintain it as a unique key. If I go into the depths of primary key, then I have to explain you what is indexing, what is clustered and non-clustered indexing. That is like too much of SQL, and we don't need that.
No.
So for us, sometimes at the basic level interviews, sometimes the people ask, what is the difference between primary key, unique key, and foreign key? So I think people should know it. So that's the reason I stressed on it. So if both primary key and unique key, they maintain the uniqueness of data, but primary key can never have a null value. However, unique key can have one null value. Then what is the foreign key? Now, let's come back to the situation. I used a primary key of country master inside student table, right? It's a primary key over here, and I am using it over here. Then if I am using a primary key of one table in another table, it becomes a foreign key over there. You got it? This is an independent table. 1, 2, 3 is a primary key. This is an independent table. 1, 2, 3, 4 is a primary key. The moment I use primary key of one table inside another table, it becomes a foreign key over there. And this forms the basis of my joins. Then a primary key of one table, foreign key of another table. I will join two tables using this column now. Country ID. You got my point? Now you understood why I was explaining this primary key, foreign key, unique key, because I want you guys to understand joins. How do the joins work? So if I need to use joins between two tables, first the question is, why should I use joins? The answer is, there can be two tables which are interdependent. I have already shown you. I have a country ID. What if now I want to know the name of country for John? One means nothing to business. They will not understand one. So what will I do? I will join these two tables and I will get the value for one. Okay, one is US. US is understandable. Two is UAE. Three is Australia. So if there are two tables which are interconnected by the use of primary key foreign key concept, then I can have a join between two. Here the join key would be country ID. But why do I use the joins? I will use joins when I need data from two interrelated tables. If you try to understand this concept, if there are two or three or four tables, I need some data from table 1, some portion of data from table 2, some portion of data from table 3, then I will join those tables using the concept of primary keys and foreign keys, because there should be a link between the two tables, otherwise I cannot join them. If there was no country ID maintained over here, how could I join them? I could not. Now, if I ask someone, please create a report, I need a student ID, I need a student name, and I need a student country. So what he or she will do, she will get these two details from here. She will join these two tables, and based on the country ID, she will get the name from here. Okay, one is US, two is UAE, and 3 is Australia. This is the reason why we join tables, because there are two or more interrelated tables and I need the data from both, or I need data from 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tables. That is the reason I will join them. If that is clear, I will show you how to write these joins in the SQL. Clear? No? Yes? Anything?
Yes.
I'm
Yes,
okay.
clear.
Yeah, I understand.
If someone is shy of asking questions, thinking people might judge me, you will never learn. Trust me. It's okay. Nobody knows you. But please speak up.
So I have a question.
Please go ahead.
So how do we find if there is a student from New Zealand with the primary key 4?
Okay,
So
for
that
example, yeah, definitely. See, if I had say 4, then as of now, I don't have a student from New
yes.
Zealand. But
So
what
in
if
that case, when
tomorrow?
we don't have
Yeah,
something
then
over
I don't need its country ID. Your country table will have all the countries in the world, and they will be having a country ID maintained. And the moment you have student with that country ID, then only you will need its data, right? You don't need. Why should I showcase New Zealand over here when I don't have a student from there?
No, in case someone wants to search if we have a student from this country.
Then the answer is no, because when we use the concept of join, there are 4 types of joins. I will explain you. If there is no student from country New Zealand, then the data will not be there in the report. What if there can be one more scenario? Hey, please show me the countries, and if there is a student over there, then that's a different scenario altogether. You do not want a report for students. You now want the report for countries. Hey, please show me how many students I have for US, how many students I have for UAE, how many students I have for Australia. For New Zealand, the count is 0. How do we do it? I will show you. But that's like different types of joins. From this example point of view, I am just trying to showcase from the student point of view. I said I need the country for the student. I never said I need the student for the country. That's a different scene. I will show you that with examples. If for primary key, unique key, foreign key, what are joins? Joins are used to connect 2 or more tables. There are different types of joins. Why do we use joins? I told you already. Now, what are the different types of joins? What is the SQL syntax for that? I will show you. So I was saying how to use the joins now. So there is a statement, like SQL statement is select star from table, say A. I can use join. We typically write inner join table underscore B on. On is the condition. As I said, primary key, foreign key. I say table underscore A dot column 1 is equal to table underscore B is equal to table underscore B dot column 2. Okay, this is a typical join statement. When I say star, I mean all the columns from table A and all the columns from table B. If I am only interested in columns from table A, I will write select tbl underscore a dot star. It means I am not concerned about any column from table B. If I want to see all the columns from table B, then I will write tbl underscore table B dot star. It means I just want to see all the columns from table B. I am not interested to see table A columns. This is a typical join statement. And if you want to use the filter criteria, you can write after this, where maybe table A dot column X. No, column X is equal to ABC. But if you have a look at this SQL statement, isn't it like getting crazy? I don't have tables like TBLA. I have some long tables. I cannot write all the table names. Like if I need 10 different fields, I cannot write table dot say Ernam, table dot SPR, table dot LOEVM. I don't want to do that. So if I want to do a shortcut, I will always use the concept of aliasing. Aliasing is a concept where I will give a short name to my table. For example, over here, I show you. I do not want to use table A, but I want to use a concept of aliasing. I want to refer my table A as A. If you want to give aliasing like this, I want to mention it as A, it's okay. If you want to skip as, it's still fine. What it means is like, now your table A has a shortcut name and it has a name A. Same thing. Second table, I will alias it as B. Now I do not need to write this table A dot column 1, table B dot column A. I will simply write A dot column. This is done just to make your queries readable. The concept of aliasing to make my SQL statements readable. Now I do not want to write table B. B itself means table B. Okay, this is the concept of aliasing. Now what if I want to join a third table? Okay, no problem. Inner join table C, alias it as C on maybe A dot column 1 is equal to C dot column K. It's okay. Now if you want to use table D as well, it's okay. Just use one more inner join. After this, you can use inner join table D, alias it as D on now for table D, there can be like the primary key foreign key relationship can be between table D and table C. It's not mandatory. I have to always use table A. Here I can also use like B dot column 3. It can come from any of the tables, that's table A, table B, table C. Now it's equal to D dot column 1. It can happen. That's okay. As I said, there are different types of joins. Let me go back to the Excel. Okay, there are different types of joins. One is inner join, one is left outer join, one is right outer join, and the last one is self join. Okay, we will only use these two joins 99% of the times. 1% of the time we will use self join. When we ever want to use a right outer join, even BODS does not have a right outer join. We will interchange the tables. What I mean by that, I will show you. Suppose there is a table student, and this table student, it has student ID, student name, it has country ID. Now student ID 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Name is A, B, C, D, and E. Now country ID is 1, 4, 1, 3, 7. Now say I have a country ID table. Now this is country ID and this is country name. Say I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now say this is UK, this is US, this is India, this is China, say this is UAE, maybe this is New Zealand, this is Australia, this is Germany, and say this is any country, Poland. Now try to understand the joins. When I say inner join, I mean whatever is common between two tables. If I am using an inner join, I will always say, hey, I want the common records between two. If some record is here and that record is here also, then only I want that record in the output. If a record is here, it's not in country table, I don't need it. If a record is in country table and it's not in student table, I do not need it. I need such records which are present in both table student and table country. Now, what will I write? Let's write the SQL statement. Select, say A dot, not A, let's write star as of now. Come on. Select star from student table. Let's name it as A. I say inner join country table and name it as B. I say on A dot country ID is equal to B dot country ID. Okay, this is a typical SQL statement. Okay, now how will it operate? How will it generate the data? Student ID 1, country ID 1. Is this country ID 1 existing in the country table? Yes, it is. So as of now, I'm selecting star. So it means all the columns from table 1 and all the columns from table country, both the columns. I do not need that. So I will just mention I need select A dot student ID, comma, A dot student name, comma, B dot country name. I don't need country ID. That's of no use to me. So now how will the report look like? So the report will first have student ID, then student name, and then country name. Okay, now let's go to the data. This is with respect to the columns. I will have student ID, I will have student name, I will have country name. Now how will the data look like? Let's take one student name A, country ID 1. Does the country ID 1 exist in country table? Yes, it does. Then 1, it will be A and country will be UK, because one country means UK. Let's take 2. 2B4. Does 4 exist in this table? Yes, it does. Then it will be like 2. Here it will be B. Then 4 means China. Now let me give one more student ID. I say 6 F and here I mean 89. Okay. Now let's come back. Now third student C 1. Does 1 exist? Yes, it does. Then I say it's 3. It's C. And what is the country? Country is UK. Perfect. Then my student 4. 4 is D and country is 3. 3 is India. Okay, it does. 5 E. What is the 7 country? That is Australia. Okay. Now 6. 6 F. Does 89 exist in this table? Yes or no?
No.
Then this record will not come. So this will be my output. Whatever is common between two tables, that only will be the output. Now this is a typical inner join. Inner join means whatever is common. Now what if you want to say you want a report where you are trying to tell me I need all the students. If the country is there, I need its name. If the country is not there, just give me the blank value. That's it. But I do not want to skip any record from the student table. I need all the student name records. If the country is there, give me the name. But if the country is not there, then it will be blank, right? Because I don't have a name to 89.
Yep.
So what will I do? I need all the records from which table? Student table or country table?
Student table.
Perfect. Then let me write this is inner join query. Now let me write the left outer join now. How does a typical left outer join work? See, this I will write everything same, but instead of doing inner join, I will write left outer join. Okay, now it's a left outer join. Now what will happen? Okay, let me copy paste it. Whenever I'm using a left outer join, then whatever data is from the left table, it has to come. So what is the last record? 6F will also come. But does it 89 have a value over here in the right table? No. So it will be a blank. Okay. If your records, whatever records are in the left table, what is left and what is right table? Left table is this one, the one that you say at the first from. Table A is left, table B is right. So you are writing a left outer join. So this is the left. On the left of the join is this table. So all the records from table student will come, and whatever is matching between table 1 and table 2, it will come. But whatever is not present in table second, it will have a blank value. You follow me?
Okay, got it.
Okay. Now, what if I write the right outer join? Now, right outer join will simply be like all the records from right table will come. Whatever is matching with the left side, it will come. And whatever is not matching, it will be a blank. Now, let's take the same example. Say in BODS, we don't have something like right outer join. Why? Because if I need a right outer join, I will just keep the right table on the left and use a left outer join instead, because this is the same. I, from the SQL point of view, I do have a left outer join, right outer join, but I don't need it technically. Why? Because if I need technically all the records from this table, whatever is matching from this table and whatever is not matching have a null to it, then I will simply make this table as a left table, right? I will use a left outer join. Why should I have one more right outer join? That does not make sense to me from the BODS perspective or from the query perspective. So in BODS, we only have two types of joins, inner join and left outer join. So from the theory point of view, how does the right outer join work? I will show you. Okay. Now from the right outer join, I said, okay, let's say I have this country name. I said all the countries from right table will show up. So this will be not like this. This will be like all the countries will come up. Now from the left, what will happen? From the left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 will come, right? Because 1, 2, 3 left will have everything. Now 1 has a value. Now you think the opposite way. This is the right table now. Now 1 has a value 1a, 2 has a value 2. Where is 2? 2 has a value over here, right? Wait, just give me a second. Now this is UK. UK is 1. What is corresponding to 1? Corresponding to 1 is 1a. So 1 and a will come now. Now what is US? US is 2. Is there any 2 over here? No. This will be like blank and blank. What is India? India is 3. Is there any 3 over there? Yes, 4 and D. 4 and D. What is China? China is 4. Is 4 over there? Yes, 4 is 2 and B. You just think in the opposite way now, because I am keeping country table as the main table now, because this is a right outer join. Left outer join, this table has the priority, but right outer join, right table has the priority. Now UAE is 5. Is 5 over here? No, it will be blank because nothing is on the left side. What is New Zealand? New Zealand is 6. Is 6 over here? No, nothing. Now I was discussing about right outer join. Now UAE, what is UAE? UAE is 5. There is no record for 5 in country student ID, so it's null. What is New Zealand? New Zealand is 7. So we have a record for 7. What is it? 7 is 5E. So I will get 5 and E over here. What is AU? AU is New Zealand is 6. Sorry, New Zealand is 6. I don't have a record for New Zealand. What is AU? AU is 6. No, sorry. AU is 7. Do I have a record for 7? Yes, 5. So I will have 5 and then E over here. Why am I writing it like crazy? Just a moment. Yeah, 5E will be for AU. What is DE? DE is 8. I don't have a record for 8. What is PO? PO is 9. I won't have a record for 9 because there is nothing on the left hand side. So this is how your typical right outer join will work. But as I said, we will not use the right outer joins in data services or in our real life. Whenever we want to use the right outer join, I will just replace the tables. I will keep country ID on the left and the other table, student ID, on the right, just to make the understanding easy. Because it's easy to understand left outer joins rather than the right outer joins.
If there are 2 records with one country, how would it look like?
Sorry,
there are 2 records for example, one country.
Okay, let's do it now. Just give me a second. For example, let's say there was 7. There was, say, G, and it had country 1, right? Now, okay. Now, what is country 1? Country 1. Okay. Now, country 1 is what? UK. Then you will have, then you will have something like this. Wait, you will have something like this, because UK has to come. Then what is a student? UK is 1, right? So there is one more student at 1. Then it will come like G and 7 over here.
Okay.
Student ID 7, This is how the data will look like.
What sets ZaranTech apart in SAP corporate training? It's our unique blend of expertise and innovation. We offer customized courses tailored to each client's needs, ensuring relevant, targeted learning. Our vast trainer database brings you wisdom from the best in the field. Need resources? Access our extensive training material repository anytime. We are all about measurable results, providing detailed student metrics to track progress. And we don't just teach, we build community. Join our thriving social media network, connecting learners beyond boundaries. With ZaranTech, you are not just training, you are transforming your SAP expertise.
So my scenario here is we have multiple ERP systems and multiple MDG systems, legacy ones. And what could be the better approach to migrate to S4HANA?
Now, see, if you have more than one source system and you guys want to move to S4HANA system, the first thing is, suppose, now let's take it one system at a time. Let's break it. If I was in your shoes, I would break it into, say, for example, I have 10 systems now. I don't care what it is. I have Oracle, I have Excel files, I have 10 SAP systems. Now, say I have 10 systems. Okay. I would give each system and I would refer to it as a pilot. Say I have 10 pilots now. I would take each pilot as an independent identity, and then I would do the profiling of each pilot. I would have the data cleansing of each pilot. When I say pilot, I mean each legacy system. And then I would love to migrate data one pilot at a time. I would focus on one system, migrate it to S4. Okay, my job is done. Now the guys who were on system 1, legacy system 1, I would ask them to continue from S4HANA now because ECC is gone for them. Now I would start on pilot 2, then pilot 3, then pilot 4, so that your organization has 10 pilots. In phases, I will migrate it to S4HANA system. I will not do some...
Right. So just let me stop you there for just a moment. There is a MDG in between, right? So when we're consolidating master data coming from multiple ERP system or multiple regions, what could be the approach, right? First, we get all the master data, consolidate them into MDG, and from that MDG, should we send it to S4HANA, or what could be the actual approach?
I have a question. What if you plan to work? There are two approaches, top down and bottom to top approach. When I say top to down approach, I mean master data gets the priority followed by the transactional data. When I say bottom to top approach, I say transactional data gets the priority over master data. Now I will tell you the scenarios, both scenarios. Suppose you took top down approach and you saw like, hey, I have 600 customers marked for deletion. And obviously, you will not migrate them to target system. You have 400 vendors marked for deletion. You will not migrate them to target system.
Agreed.
Now, you did the same activity for different systems. And ultimately, all the data is now in MDG. If there was any data deduplication, you took care of that. If there was any data harmonization, you took care of that. Now you are sure, okay, my master data is perfectly fine in MDG. Then your interfaces will make that data flow into S4HANA system. Okay, that's the concept of MDG. Now,
so from MDG to S4HANA, or so
MDG to S4HANA, BODS guys will not come into picture. MDG has...
So it is all through IDOCs and BAPIs, you mean?
We will not do it. Usually, MDG guys will have an interface where they will migrate that data from MDG system to... It will be replicated. That's the whole concept of MDG. MDG see, the basic concept of MDG is I don't want someone to make my data dirty again. That's the whole concept. Now I will give access to MDG system to 4 people, only 4, who can create master data or who can change this master data. But when it comes to the S4HANA system, I will replicate this data from MDG system to S4HANA system so that my MDG master data is always up to date, clean. That's the whole concept. Now suppose you migrated all your data to MDG system, and MDG guys, what they did is they replicated this data to S4HANA system now. Okay, I'm done and dusted.
Using DRF, you mean data replication framework or something?
Whatever they use, I'm not sure about what they use, but they can even connect the two systems using, when it comes to us, we use these systems as outbound, right? They can also have inbound IDOCs, and they can do the, I'm to say they can, two systems can connect to one another, can't it?
Okay.
They can. So, but I am trying to give you one more scenario. Now, for example, you felt like, okay, my all the data is moved to MDG, all the data is now in S4, replicated perfectly fine. Then one fine day you wake up and you say like, okay, I want to now migrate sales orders. Now you find out, oh, I cannot create sales orders for say 200 sales orders. Why? Because the customer is not there. Because it was marked for deletion, but the sales order is not closed. What will happen now? Now there will be last minute surprises, right? So that's the reason I say it's always better to do data profiling before going for the data migration. And it would be really helpful to go the bottom top approach. So what will I do? If I was the data leader, I would just go to the transactional data first. Okay, sales order. I have 600 sales orders open. I need 400 customers. Are these customers marked for deletion at the basic level? No. Is any of the customers marked for deletion at the sales org level? Yes, 2 of them. Okay, I have a discussion with this is all in the discovery phase. We do this using information stewards profiling. I'm talking about data profiling now. I will go to the data owner. Bro, I cannot move your 2 sales orders. Why? You have to either close them or you have to unmark the customers for deletion at the sales view. Okay, he takes a mitigation decision. I am going to explain everything. Why do we do information stewards and all? But I'm just giving you a high level picture. Okay, now he tells me, yeah, okay, I will close the sales order. That's it. I do not need these 2 customers now. But he's telling me, no, I cannot close the sales order. Then what's the only mitigation plan? He has again 2 choices. He tells me, what you do, I will change the mapping document. I will change the extraction criteria. I do not want you to include these 2 sales orders in your extraction criteria or in your scope of migration. Or he can tell me, no, I will go back and I will do the cleansing in source system. I will not mark these 2 customers for deletion. Same goes with say materials. Now you want to create the pricing data or bill of material or sales contract, sales order, anything, purchase contracts, right? You have 40 materials marked for deletion at the basic level. So again, what will be the mitigation plan? They have to go to the source system. They have to do some cleansing. Then only you should migrate the master data to the MDG system. That's my perspective. So most of the Asian clients, to save dollar, they skip the profiling part and then they complain SAP is complex. It's a failure. It's not, if you take the right approach. It's always better. Whenever I work with European clients or the clients from US, they are very particular about data quality. They will spend, maybe if they spend 1 year in migration, they will spend 1.5 years in knowing the data, because they want to keep their migration as smooth as possible. There should be no last minute surprises. Hey, I want to create a bill of material. Oh, why is my material missing at the plant level? So it's very important to do profiling for all the legacy systems, no matter how much time it takes, but it's important. That's the reason the moment you have 6-7 years of experience, it's very important to have information stewards experience. Why? Because you will always face clients. You need to give them consultation, right? That's the reason we are called SAP data migration consultants. Exactly. It's not like I will just read some mapping document like a newbie, just extract some data, done and dusted. I don't know what's happening to the data.